You heard about the term shamanism and also about shaman or shamans, and you ask yourself, what does it actually mean? Is that a religion? Is shamanism a religion, or is that science? And what does a shaman actually do? And in this video, I'll explain that to you from my point of view. For those of you who are new here on my channel, my name is Maddie. I'm a biologist, I'm an author, and I'm also a shamanic practitioner. And before I want to go into detail about the terms of shamanism and shaman, I think it's important for you to know what my background is on that whole topic. So since I'm a scientist, I was always very interested in a scientific approach to different topics. And I think therefore I was drawn to the writings of Michael Harner. Dr. Michael Harner was an academically trained anthropologist, and he had a doctorate from the University of California in Berkeley. And so he was really interested in indigenous shamanic knowledge and cultures. So therefore he went and studied different of these indigenous cultures that had a shamanic techniques to them, or that were using shamanic techniques. For example, he did research among the Conibo people of Eastern Peru and also the Jiraro in South America. And so basically what happened, that he kind of moved from the scientific observer to a shamanic practitioner, because he was learning more and more about the shamanic methods that have been used in these different shamanic cultures. And then he realized that the process of disappearing of these different shamanic cultures is a very rapid process, and that these shamanic cultures all over the world. And so his intention was also to preserve these core elements of these different shamanic methods that he learned. And studying all these different indigenous shamanic cultures and their knowledge enabled him to really identify the basic principles of the shamanic practices that are really valid across cultures. And therefore, he kind of based these basic principles under the term of core shamanism. So he was the one who was kind of using the term of core shamanism, which means like he brought all the parallel aspects of that spiritual practice from different cultures under one umbrella, and that's called the core shamanism. So the core essence of shamanism. And I was really drawn to that because I liked the scientific approach. You know, he just went to the different cultures and he studied them, and he looked at them and said, what is the similarity between all of them, although they were in different areas of the world. And there were some techniques, some practices that were very similar. And this is what I would also term to be shamanism, very well knowing that it is under an umbrella. You know, shamanism is just one word for a lot of different aspects that fall under it. Same with shaman. Shaman is just one word. You know, there are also words like healer, seer, druids, witches. Like, I don't know, different terms that actually have also similarities. But in my videos, I'll use the term shamanism and shaman because this is how I am more familiar with and how I learned it through my education, if you want to call it like that. But let's start with shamanism. What is shamanism? If someone asks you, or if someone asks me, I usually try to put it into one sentence. So I one day sat down and thought, what is actually the essence of it, and how can you put it in one sentence? And I came up with the following. Shamanism is an ancient way that brings us in accordance with everything that is around us. So it is not a thing. Shamanism is a practice. It's a way. It's something that you are doing. Shamanic practices, shamanic techniques. This is like if you would call like a lifestyle in modern language. But it is not a thing. It is something that you do. It is an ancient way. I like the word way. It's a way to live. It's a way to do something. And when you do shamanic practices, when you go the shamanic way, the purpose of it is to really align you with everything that is around us. And that is, I would say, a big part, a big essence of shamanism. I also want to cite Michael Harner, who said it really well. Shamanism is ultimately only a method, not a religion with a fixed set of dogmas. So exactly what I said. It is not like a religion or a science or something like that. It is a way to see the world and interact with the world. So, but let's get more into detail. What is actually a shaman? What does a shaman do? So a shaman practice shamanism, right? So, and therefore we have to look a little bit closer. What is it that a shaman really does? In order to bring a bit closer what a shaman really does, what the job of a shaman is and what a shaman defines, I found that paper, What is a Shaman? Definition, Origin and Distribution by Roger Walsh, which I really like because he really concentrated the knowledge and the key features. He came up with 3 key features of what a shaman does. And so I kind of used that paper to structure my video today. So thank you very much, Mr. Walsh. Although that paper is already a bit older, but I think it's still very, very accurate. And that's why I was using it. I wanted to cite it here, of course. Let's have a look at the 3 key features. The first key feature is that a shaman can voluntarily enter an altered state of consciousness. The second key feature is once the shaman is in that altered state of consciousness, they usually experience something that's kind of in accordance with an outer body experience. So they leave the body and they go on to journeys. They go to other realms. And then third, going through other realms, in that altered state of consciousness allows a shaman to look for answers, not only for himself or herself, but also and specifically for the community the shaman is embedded within. So I want to go a little bit deeper into these 3 different key features in order to explain it a bit more. So the first thing, as I said, a shaman is able to enter voluntarily a different kind of consciousness, an altered kind of consciousness, which is necessary in order to get in touch with the spirits. And that is a core assumption, a core principle within the shamanism, that spirits are real. That is not something we just imagine. Everything has a spirit. Everything is alive around us. And therefore, we can get in contact with these kind of spirits. But that only happens when we are in a different kind of consciousness. We are in an altered state of consciousness. And you might experience that, in your life as well. When you're really tired, when you're really hungry, when you're in a fasting high, when you wake up in the morning and you're still not really, you're still kind of half asleep, half awake. These kind of states are special, they kind of seem to enlarge the way you see the world. And you might already had an experience that were a bit like, oh, I can't explain what just happened to me, right? So these kind of states are altered states of consciousness because it is not our everyday consciousness, not the way we feel all day. And so a shaman is able to enter very controlled these kind of different states of consciousness, usually with drumming, with rattling, with singing and dancing, everything that takes a shaman out of, the head more into the body, to be present for the moment and to really change the consciousness. So that is a key feature of a shaman. And it makes sense for shamanism as one method. If you want to get in touch with the spirits, then you have to do something different than in everyday life. Otherwise, it's not possible. And this characteristic of a shaman, to be able to voluntarily and controlled enter an altered state of consciousness, is also something that is reflected in the name shaman itself. The term itself actually has its origin in the word saman, S-A-M-A-N, or saman, I don't know how to pronounce it, from the Tungus people in Siberia. And it means like one who is excited, who is moved, who is raised. It may also be derived from an ancient Indian word meaning someone who is heated, to heat oneself or to practice austerities. But basically it means, to change your state, to kind of get excited. Also about shamanism can be termed as a technique of ecstasy. Ecstasy could be defined as, if you are being taken out of your normal self, of your normal state, something that is different than your normal state. So that is the first important key element of a shaman and shamanism, to be able to alter voluntarily and control your own state of consciousness. So the second term, as I said, once the shaman is in that altered state of consciousness, he or she is able to get in touch with different realms. And that is something that is also important to shamanism, that our world is not the only world. It's not the only reality. There is that ordinary reality, everything we can perceive that is our normal state of consciousness, just everyday life. Like you watching me now here on this video, that is ordinary reality, that is normal state of consciousness. But then there's also the non-ordinary reality. And we can only access the non-ordinary reality when we are in an altered state of consciousness. Meaning we can only get in touch with the spirits if we are able to kind of leave our body and get our spirit on a journey to meet other spirits. And that might sound crazy, yes, but only if the concept of spirits unreal for you is completely foreign and it's something you can't imagine to be real. And otherwise it is just, it's normal, right? That was always a concept for me. I was like, well, spirits, well, of course there are no spirits. There's nothing else than we can see and perceive in a normal world. But once I opened myself up for the possibility and I got into an altered state of consciousness, I realized, wait, there is actually more. There is really the possibility to leave your body on a spiritual level, on an outer body experience, and get in touch with other spirits, with different kinds of energies, if you would say too. And then I realized as well that when you do that, you have endless possibilities to get access to knowledge. And this is the third key element of what a shaman does when he or she is on a shamanic journey, when they are going to different realms and contacting the spirits. They usually do it because they want to seek answers for individual questions, for the questions concerning their community, for healing, for divination, all these kind of different things. And so a shaman is always something that also is embedded within a society, within a community. Usually the shaman is kind of announced by the community because they can see, there is a person who's really good at changing the altered state of consciousness, who's really good at getting in touch with different spirits, coming back with valuable information. And therefore, this person kind of, grows into the community as a valuable shaman for them. And this is how the cultural aspect is to it as well. So these kind of three key features, I think, really pinpoint it and boil it down what a shaman does and what's his job or her job, and why and how does that all go together with shamanism. And therefore, shamans within an indigenous tribe in a ancient culture back then were really like our psychologists and our like MDs, doctors are today for us, for most of us, because they were very important consultant. If you had a problem, if you had a mental problem, a physical problem, people went to the shaman in order to seek for help and answers. And to sum it up and bring it back to my first definition of what shamanism is, as I said, it's a very ancient way that brings us in accordance with everything that is around us. As I said, if you go to a shaman, he gives you an answer, and then you implement that answer into your life. Usually what happens is that more and more you are getting into a state where you're in accordance with everything that is around us. I experienced that myself many, many times, that when I practice shamanic methods, that I get answers that help me to get more in alignment with everything that is around me, to be in alignment with my environment, whether it's, the animals and plants that are around me. I can communicate with them. I just the other day did a shamanic journey here to my house and the nature spirits of that place, because I felt something is quite off here, that it seems like there is a weird energy going on. And I found out that the nature spirit here on my place where I live was not happy about that house being here. It was built many, many years ago, and we just bought it 6 years ago. And it was also an area where there were like a gas station. So that nature spirit was like, well, he was really, really angry that no one asked him, putting that gas station right on top of his earth, and all the chemicals went into the soil. So I had a communication with that spirit to bring things back into balance. I apologized to that nature spirit in kind of like as an ambassador for all other humans that ever been here and that built that house. And I said I was really sorry that this happened without consulting him, and that, you know, whatever I can do right now, I would love to do. And so now I feel like things are more in balance, back in balance. And this is what you can do with a shamanic methods. You can bring things back into balance, and like that benefits everyone around you and yourself. And that's why I love shamanism so much, or practicing shamanic methods, because I never had any other methods in my life that brought me so many deep and holistic answers for my life. And when implementing these things, these answers into my life, you know, whatever I had to do, make decisions, it always turned out to be the most perfect thing for me. That's why, yeah, I love making these videos. I love talking about shamanism, because I think it's an amazing approach to see the world, and also the shamanic methods are amazing toolbox that you can use for your everyday life in order to make right decisions, to seek answers, to help to bring things back into balance. And yeah, I want to share this excitement, I guess, for shamanism on my channel. So if that's something that you're interested in, then I would be happy if you keep watching my videos. There will be another video every Sunday. If you're also interested in how I started with shamanism, then I recommend this video here, where I explain how I became familiar with shamanic methods. And if you want to have a consultation, that's also possible. And you can go onto my website, which is here down below, where I offer online consultations if you're not from here, from this area around Berlin, but as well as having consultations on my boat, which I just recently purchased. So yeah, we have a little boat here, and this is where I have my shamanic sessions on, and it is really a very cool experience. So thank you very much for watching, and see you next week. Bye bye.